Jai Hind viewers, welcome back to the Global Strategic and Defense News. Today, on the Candid Conversation, we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is the self factor redefining success from within. We all want to succeed, and there's nothing wrong about it. But how should we take success? How should we plan towards success? So we discuss this in detail. And for this, we have a very eminent speaker who is Dr. Nikita Agrawal. She's an associate professor in the Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies. And her professional focus has been on human resources and organizational behavior. She has published numerous papers in international and national journals and has organized many international and national seminars. She is a very credible voice, not only in India today, but abroad as well, on the issues which affect the human psychology. So, Dr. Nikita Agrawal, I welcome you to the Global Strategic and Defense News.
Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind, honor is mine. Thank you so much for having me here.
Welcome. Dr. Nikita, my first question to you is that, in today's era where there is social media has penetrated each one of us lives to the extent we can't even talk about, there's a lot of, differences which are, or a lot of parameters which one tries to seek in success, whether it is the success should be materialistic success or the success should be, just from the position point of view. So, how would you define a ideal success which a person, especially the young generation, should imbibe upon so that they have a fulfilling and a satisfying career ahead?
All right. So at the very onset, sir, I would just want to say, first of all, it's this topic is very, very near to my heart because this is something which actually directs our life. When we talk about success, the main reason that we want to be successful is because we want to be happy. And when I say that we want to be happy, there's a difference between absolute happiness and relative happiness. So relative happiness is I want this much amount of money. I want that kind of a body. I want that kind of a relationship. I want that kind of a house. And absolute happiness is which is not dependent on these factors. So relative happiness is that if I get this thing, I will be happy. And yes, it makes you temporarily happy. But after a point of time, you crave for another thing. So when I say that we need to be successful, I I would suggest that we should be successful both in terms of relative happiness and in terms of absolute happiness. And when I'm saying this, obviously there are very many factors which we need to be successful. We need to be hardworking. We need to create value. Perseverance is another factor. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to focus on things. So obviously, all these factors are very important to be successful. But having said that, whether these things will make you inwardly successful or not, that's a different question altogether. And why do we need to do it? They say that determination to win is the better part of winning. And why do we say that? I mean, obviously, the end result should be the better part of winning, right? मेरे को एक चीज चाहिए थी वो मुझे मिल गई. Now I'm happy about it. But they say no, that is not the happiest part. The happiest part is the determination to win. And why do we say that? So that somehow brings us to the concept of inward happiness. When we need to understand कि जितना ज्यादा काम हम खुद पे करते हैं, जितना ज्यादा हम सेल्फ मास्टरी अटेन करते हैं, उतना ही ज्यादा हम सक्सेसफुल इनवर्डली और आउटवर्डली होते जाते हैं.
That's very beautifully explained, Dr. Nikita, and I'm sure that it gives a lot of clear direction, especially the younger generation who are on the cusp of carving a career for themselves. My next question to you is that in this time where there's so much of pressures from all sides, whether it is peer pressure, pressures from the family, how does one try to balance one's life or the work life balance that one calls it, so that there is neither something lacking at the professional front nor at the personal front? So how would you advise a person to balance his work life so that he has a satisfying professional career as well as a happy personal life as well?
I think that depends a lot on setting priorities. You have a list of things to cater to. You have various roles you play as a human being, be it personal or be it professional. I think one should understand and identify the priorities, that this is number one priority, number two priority, and then divide your 24 hours accordingly. All of us have 24 hours in a day. And some people are able to handle it in a better way while some are not. The reason is they're able to understand, they're able to prioritize things better, and they're able to divide each particular aspect, each particular hour for each priority. And that is a very beautiful way of handling things.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you that prioritizing things always keeps a person well in check, to as to not exceed his or her brief. Because if one doesn't prioritize and one ends up doing everything, and finally the results are not commensurate to the effort that one is putting in. Dr. Nikita, my next question is that you are a very successful academician who's done very well in her professional life and is in one of the leading universities of the country today. How would you advise the young generation who want to make a mark in the academics career? Because there's a lot of peer pressure that one should be successful in the corporate life and academics. Sorry to say, but you'll understand me that we in the Indian society regard academics as not the main place where one should go. So how would you rate the academics, and how would you advise those students who want to make academics as their professional career?
Okay, so two, three things here. When we talk about academics, you know, it depends totally on the interest area. For me, public speaking was my passion. Understanding and explaining difficult concepts was something I used when I was a student. I used to take seminars and lectures in the classes of my juniors. My teachers used to do that. Giving presentations on the most difficult topic was something I really loved doing. So that depends on the interest area, first of all, whether you want to choose academics or not. And considering that, yes, what you said is absolutely right. That in India, the phase of academics is totally different than what we have in abroad, right? When we talk about MITs, when you talk about Harvard, the way things are taught there are quite different. I will not say that we don't have that concept in India. We do have it, and we try to inculcate. And the government is also working on it with latest NEPs coming over. Right. So I would just say that it's a personal choice whether you want to go for academics or whether you want to go for corporate thing. But I believe the common factor in both the things is you want to be successful, be it academics, be it corporate. And I strongly, strongly believe that your success lies on the other side of self mastery. With time, we have had so many revolutions. We had milk revolution, we had green revolution, we had industrial revolution in the country. Very strongly, I feel the most important thing that we need today is human revolution. That we need to change ourselves, you know, and if we are able to change ourselves, if we are able to attain self mastery, our victory lies on the other side of the human revolution. And that process will not only give us the materialistic success that we are looking for, be it through academics or be it through corporate, but that inner change of focusing on ourselves, having controls over our emotions, that will change ourselves from the inside. And that inside will shift the relative happiness to absolute happiness. So I would just say that one should not focus on whether choosing corporate or academics on the basis of simply because it will give me more money, it will give me more time, it will give me more peace, it will give me more sense of accomplishment. You need to identify and understand yourself first. That what is your aim? Where do you want to go? Where is your longing? And then decide your career option.
Very well said. Dr. Nikita, my last question to you is that as India is marching on becoming a developed nation under the Viksit Bharat 2047 vision envisioned by our Prime Minister, do you feel that apart from the various materialistic indices or the rankings that we all look at, should happiness index also be talked about? Because having been successful also matters a lot, how one is happy. Do you also feel that, given your vast experience, this facet should also be talked about openly?
100%, sir. Bhutan is one such country wherein they analyze the annual growth, not specifically on the basis of GDP or national income. They check the human happiness index, and that's very very important. If people are not happy and the GDP is growing, it doesn't make sense. So yes, happiness is very very important, and that is why at the very onset of the interview I mentioned that I want to focus on absolute happiness. So here, I would like to mention a small example which I often give in my class also, that whenever my students ask me कि मैम absolute happiness और relative में हम समझ तो पा रहे हैं but उसको practically नहीं सोच पा रहे हैं कि what is it that will what is it that inner change that you are talking about. So I usually give them this example. Okay, let's say Mr. X wants to be happy, right? And now Mr. X is saying, मैंने उनको पूछा, who are you, Mr. X? Let's आप मेरे से बात कर रहे हो कि who am I? तो अगर मेरा नाम निकिता की जगह कुछ और भी होता, I would still be the same person. अगर मैं कहती हूँ कि my body is, if I have to introduce myself, if I'm introducing myself in terms of my body, and let's say tomorrow I met with an accident, I don't have an arm, I would still remain myself. So at times we relate ourselves to my emotions, you know, कि I am what my emotions are. That is also not true. Because कभी कभी ऐसा होता है, हमें लगता है हम इस सिचुएशन में मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा था, मैं कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाई, लेकिन दूसरी सिचुएशन में मैं बहुत अच्छे से खुद को कंट्रोल कर पाई. तो जहाँ पे हर जगह हम एक रेफर कर रहे हैं मैं, व्हाट इज दिस मैं, व्हाट इज दिस आई, when I'm saying I'm able to control my emotions now, or I'm able to reduce my weight, or I'm able to do this, what is this I? This I is something which, जिसको हम spiritually अगर हम बोलते हैं, so it is maybe the higher self. I don't want to be religion specific. तो कुछ लोग उसको God बोल सकते हैं, कुछ लोग उसको inner peace बोल सकते हैं, universe बोल सकते हैं. The main aim जो आप बात कर रहे हैं regarding the happiness question, that happens only when this I or higher self or whatever you want to call it, that becomes more strong. And that is the only way to increase the ultimate happiness, because no matter how much money you give to the population, after a point of time, they will get bored and they will need more. Especially after COVID, we have seen so many changes in the young generation that, the behavior in terms of behavior, in terms of the needs, they have changed a lot. They are very demanding. We have seen a lot of value deterioration in the young generation today. So it is high time for us, especially as an academician, I feel, that they should understand what really makes them happy. And the only way to really be happy is to understand absolute happiness. And the only way to be absolutely happy is to have self mastery and make sure that this higher self or Mr. X or whatever it is you want to call it grows. And that is only possible when you try and do your human revolution. That is what I was just saying.
Thank you, Nikita. It was really an honor and privilege talking to you, learning so much from you. I'm sure the viewers also would have benefited greatly by the pearls of wisdom that you have explained it so well. Viewers, as always, I would request you to forward this show as much as you can, like it, and most important, comment upon it, because your comments always help GSDN take the next show forward. And if you haven't subscribed to GSDN, do subscribe. Thank you once again, Dr. Nikita, for having spared your valuable time and coming on the Global Strategic and Defense News.
Thank you so much for having me, sir. It's an honor. Thank you.
Welcome.